And joining me live right now actually is Devin Scillian, who did that interview earlier this morning. Hey, Devin, I heard you even talk to Tirico, because he's a Michigan guy, that he was in Paris and someone stopped him and asked him about the Lions.
He was walking around, he said, with a Tigers hat, an Old English D, and somebody stopped to ask him how he feels like the Tigers are going to do. Nice little story. I'm sorry, how the Lions are going to do. Of course, Mike did the play-by-play on the last game for the Lions last year against the Packers, and he'll be calling their first game against Kansas City to open the season this year. So I talked to him a little bit about that too. Pretty fun. But yeah, it always feels like we've got, he almost feels like having the Channel 4 family there every time we talk to Mike, wherever he is. He was just at the British Open and then headed into Paris for this year look ahead, and then he'll be back in Michigan, I think he said tomorrow.
Yeah, well, I really wanted to talk to you because you have covered now how many Olympics for Channel 4?
I looked it up. It's 9 now.
So, I wanted to just get your perspective on covering the Olympics. You've said to me before, the Olympics has everything. It has drama, it has sport, it has emotion, and what it's been like to see how it's evolved, not only through sports, but through like the geopolitical landscape.
Yeah, I always say the Olympics really never let you down. I say that as both a sports fan, but also as a journalist. If you're a journalist, they come with every possible story that you could want to tell. There's going to be a great story of triumph. There's going to be heartbreak. There's going to be controversy, always, whether it's with, a judging in a sport or doping something. There's always something. There's going to be somebody that comes out of absolutely nowhere to shock the whole world. So it really, as a storyteller, it is what you would call a target-rich environment, and I just think they're the greatest thing. But you're right; they've changed a lot. For one thing, we're not as think back to everybody in the world watching that hockey game back in 1980 and the Miracle on Ice. But watching it on tape delay and nobody really knowing exactly what had happened. Those are the kind of things that it's a completely different world now. First off, our attention is so scattered and spread out, diffused in the modern digital media world. We don't really settle for watching things on tape delay anymore because, of course, with social media, the results rocket around the world. And as apolitical as the games are supposed to be, what are you supposed to do with Russia in the middle of what so many in the world understand to be a very unjust and horrible war in Ukraine, and Belarus for supporting that Russian effort. So I do feel for the Russian athletes, though, because like athletes everywhere around the world, they've been training for this moment for 4 years, and it may kind of evaporate in front of them. They may get to participate, but not wearing the flag of their country.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting what you bring up also about tape delay and things that we can kind of all rally around together in the world, a live event. There's so very few of them because of the time change in the U.S. and 6 hours, not so bad. I feel like we're going to be able to see a lot of live things. How do you think that's going to change? Because you've covered the games all over the world with different time zones.
Yeah, it's a real challenge. Some places it's actually easier than others because, if for instance, in Sydney, something that was happening at 9 o'clock in the morning was happening here at 8 o'clock in the evening, or 10 o'clock. I can't remember exactly whether we were in daylight savings time or not at the time. But in some places, it works out pretty well. In others, it can be really challenging. Some place like Paris, where it's going to be a 5 or 6 hour time difference. But NBC is vowing to stay with the expectations of the modern viewer. We want to see things live. So the opening ceremonies are going to be on that afternoon, 1 year from today, on Local 4. They'll be in the afternoon, and then they'll run them again in the evening during prime time. And what else can you do? You got to stay with the expectations of people and let everybody as much of the rest of the world, by the way, over the years has done. You know, you hear these stories about people in Japan getting up at 2 o'clock in the morning to watch their athletes participate if they're in, say, Atlanta or wherever it might have been. And so
Yeah.
I think it feels like they are adjusting to this new world of the new expectations. If we want to see things live, and if you've got to run repeats in prime time, so be it. People will do that too because it's the opening ceremonies.
Yeah.
We'll watch that. We'll watch it twice.
Yeah. All right, let's go ahead. Let's gonna walk down memory lane with you. We've got some pictures. We've got some old Devin pics. There we go. From Rio in 2016, you're holding a
Rio,
silver
right?
medal. I think it's it. Yeah. Let's go ahead. What else you got?
That's
Let's
holding,
go ahead and
showing the medals. Let's see. This was in, I believe that was Pyeongchang. Yeah, exactly. That
yeah.
was
There you go.
in South Korea in 2018, there by the ski jump hill. Oh, there at Vancouver. Gosh, my goodness, that seems like yesterday. Look at that dark hair on that guy.
I'm
That's
loving
nice.
the hair. I'm loving the hair. I can't wait. What's our next Easter egg here that we have? What other pictures do we have? Athens in 2004.
That would be young Peter Vanderkay, who
Oh,
ended
no
up being
way.
a
I didn't
veteran
recognize
of like
him.
3 Olympic. He was just getting started in Athens in
Love it.
2004. University of Michigan swimmer. That's great. Love that picture.
Yeah.
That
Oh,
would be
Sochi. That's a
Sochi,
great
high
shot.
above the world there in southern Russia. That was quite. You know, Russia is always such a fascinating. I've been lucky enough to do 3 documentaries in Russia over the years. It never ceases. I believe Winston Churchill said Russia was an enigma wrapped in a mystery inside a riddle or something like that. It always is thus.
All right, we got. I think that was it. That was really wonderful, though, and I mean, just looking forward to you're looking forward to more or seeing what'll happen next, eh?
You know, I am such a I'm cynical about some things in the way that journalists are, but I'm never very cynical about the Olympics. Yes, there's always a corruption problem, and the way that these games are doled out and the way local Olympic committees sort of lord over them is horrible. These games have gotten way too corporate. They're way too expensive for so many of the local citizens. There have been complaints in Paris by the citizenry about the ticket prices. There's a lot to complain about, but at the heart of it, there's something still to me about bringing the whole world together in the spirit of athletic competition, and there's just nothing else like it, really. And I'm still just a huge believer in it. I get excited about it every single time that it comes around, and knowing that they'll be back in the U.S. 5 years from now when they go to L.A. I'm already excited about 3 years from now when they'll be in northern Italy. I just love thinking about the Olympics and the prospect of all that they hold, especially because, as I said, they just never disappoint. They never let you down, Christy.
Yeah, they sure don't. And I love your personal touch when you go over and you're covering all the things. So absolutely looking forward to it. Devin, thanks for taking us, giving us a little perspective and walk down memory lane a bit. And we'll see you a little bit later on today. All right?
You bet. So happy to do it.